For a third consecutive season, the Buffalo Bills are AFC East champs. Let's talk about what matters most coming out of the win over the Bears today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino from the Draft Network, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day. And as a reminder to you, we are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Happy Victory Sunday to you. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Chicago Bears 35-13 and improved to 12-3 on the season while clinching the AFC East Division Title for the third consecutive season. It's the first time since 1988 through 1991 that the Bills have won the division 3 years in a row. Oh, by the way, it's the Buffalo Bills' sixth consecutive win in a row. Before we dive into this game, I do want to say that my thoughts, my best wishes and prayers are with everyone in Western New York right now that has been dealing with this crazy storm. I know there's a lot of people impacted, and while I hope that you are safe and warm, I know that's not the case for a lot of people. So just wanted to say that right here off the start, and hopefully there's a quick recovery and not as much damage as I fear there is. So that's obviously something that we'll be thinking a lot about in the coming days here. As for the football game, my lead message is this. Learn to be happy when the Buffalo Bills win football games and Josh Allen doesn't play well, especially when they have a terrific offensive output. The defense plays extremely well, and the Bills win by 22 points in a statistically dominant performance. I repeat, learn to be happy when the Buffalo Bills win football games and Josh Allen doesn't play well. I would understand not feeling great about that type of win if the jury was still out on Josh Allen, but it's not. He's one of the three best players in the NFL, and he ain't three. We know who Josh Allen is in this league. And so be happy that the Bills can lean on other things from time to time to dominantly win football games and it not being all Josh Allen. Because you know what? For the most part, he does play great. And for the most part, he is the reason the Bills win a lot of football games every single year. But you know what? Sometimes he doesn't have his best game. So learn to be happy when the Bills win football games and Josh Allen doesn't play well. We'll do the things that we do here on the podcast. We'll do things I like, things I didn't like. And of course, we'll end with a recap on my predictions and a couple other thoughts that I want to share. But as we start things I liked, and I know the Bills scored 35 points and had 426 yards of offense, but I do want to start with the defense, who did some really outstanding things in this ball game. I thought it was a great collective effort by the defense. They limited the Bears to 13 points, 11 first downs. Chicago was only 2 of 12 on third downs, 1 of 4 on fourth down attempts. The Bears had just 209 total yards, just 3.5 yards per play. Chicago, the number one rushing offense in the NFL. They averaged, entering this game, 187 rushing yards per game and 5.4 yards per carry. Your Buffalo Bills held them to 80 rushing yards and 2.8 yards per carry. The Bears were one of 4 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. The Bills defense got 2 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. And remember, Chicago only ran like 50-something plays. 11 of those were tackles for loss. And more than anything, just an amazing job containing Justin Fields. Justin Fields had 7 carries for 11 yards in this ball game. That's the fewest amount of rushing yards that Justin Fields has had in 21 starts. Just a great job of being disciplined with rush lanes, playing under control, and not giving space for Justin Fields to be able to flee the pocket and escape and really unleash his dual threat skill set. That was a fantastic job by the Bills defense in containing a quarterback that nobody's been able to contain this year. The guy had 1,000 rushing yards for the season. We talked all about it all week long. The Bills defense answered that challenge in a big way. And this was a game defensively that was a bit of a shaky start. Chicago scored an opening drive touchdown, pretty much just went right through the Bills defense like they were soft butter. And then you've kind of seen this a lot with this Bills defense this year, and even in the past under Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott, where they may have a bit of a slow start, but once the defense gets through that feeling out process and they understand the game plan for their opponent, the unit tightens the screws and they usually play lights out down the stretch, and that was once again the case. And I thought the offense and the special teams put the Bills defense in some bad positions early in this game, and for the most part, the Bills defense bowed up. I mean, after that first drive touchdown, Chicago goes turnover on downs, punt, field goal, end of half, fumble, punt, turnover on downs, field goal, punt, turnover on downs, interception. Folks, you're going to win a lot of ball games if you're able to have that type of defensive results. I thought the defensive front absolutely controlled this game. Tons of splash plays from this defensive line. Ed Oliver with a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, a quarterback hit. Shaq Lawson, 2 tackles for loss, was instrumental in setting the edge against the run, but also containing Justin Fields within the pocket. I continue to love what Shaq Lawson is doing this season. He's a guy that, to me, just has a place on this football team for as long as that can be possible. I just love the way he plays, and that just continues every single week. Daquan Jones, he controlled the A-gaps. Jordan Phillips was disruptive in this ballgame, had a tackle for loss, even though you can kind of tell that shoulder's still bothering him a little bit. Tim Settle was also disruptive, had a tackle for loss, fumble recovery. A.J. Epinesa, sack, tackle for loss, quarterback hit. Don't look now, but A.J. Epinesa has 6.5 sacks this year. And that's including a couple games that he missed some time. That sack that he had in this game might have been my favorite play of his career, where you really saw the player that people fell in love with at Iowa and him winning with length, heavy hands, and power. I mean, that was a great bull rush and a one-arm stab to maintain that separation. Just played right through the block. That was a great sack. Kingsley Jonathan. I mean, this guy gets called off the practice squad and comes in and makes an impact. Tackle for loss. Greg Rousseau, tackle for loss. Did a good job with the contained rush and setting the edge against the run. I mean, this Bills defensive line was phenomenal in this ballgame. And they needed that because I didn't think they played great against Miami. Big bounce back game for a defensive line that I think has largely been really good since Von Miller was lost for the season. Thought the back seven played great. The best tackling performance of the season, perhaps, right? Coming off of some really bad tackling performances. I really didn't take much exception at all with how the Bills tackled against Chicago. Edmonds and Milano, they were lights out. DeMar Hamlin had some very active downhill fills. I think he had a couple tackles for loss. Trey White with some physical moments. Pass breakup. I mean, this Bills back seven really limited the Bears' ability to throw the football. The Bears completed 18 passes, 18 completions in this game. Only 2 of them went for more than 10 yards. Did you hear that? Only 2 of the Bears' 18 completions resulted in a gain greater than 10 yards. That's a great job. That's a great job. I thought this defense played great in a game that the Bills trailed 10-6 at halftime. 10-6. The Bills surrendered 3 points in the second half. They tackled well, they forced negative plays, they got good pressure, they limited points, and they played winning defense. Let's talk about the offense here. The story offensively was the rushing offense. Devin Singletary, 12 carries, 106 yards, touchdown. James Cook, 11 carries, 99 yards, touchdown. You know he wishes he got one more damn yard, right? To have 2 100-yard rushers, and obviously it would be James Cook's first 100-yard rushing performance of his career. Josh Allen, 6 rushes, 41 yards, and a touchdown. The Bills ran the ball 31 times for 254 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns. That's the most rushing yards the Bills have had in a game since 2016, when they had 272 against the Miami Dolphins. I thought it was good scheme, good blocking, and good running. And honestly, the Bills could have had more rushing production, I think, if they were a little bit more committed to it. I know they ran the ball 31 times, but I think there's probably a strong case to be made that the Bills should have ran the ball more in this ball game. Now, I'm glad that they got a decent amount of passing reps. I think it was good to work on some stuff in windy, cold conditions, because that's where you're going to have to throw the football, the rest of the way in those types of elements. But we all know the rushing offense was much better than the passing offense. Now, that doesn't mean that the passing offense wasn't without some good things. Obviously not the most prolific day. There's more to say about the passing offense and things I didn't like, but I thought there were some positives. Josh Allen, 15 of 26, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns, of course, 2 interceptions. But bright spots in the passing game, I think you look at Dawson Knox once again being productive. 3 receptions, 38 yards, and a touchdown. I know that's not a huge monster game, but relative to the output in this game, I thought Dawson Knox was productive as a receiver. They had a really nice 2-point conversion play to Khalil Shakir. Cole Beasley and Stefon Diggs had 3 targets, caught them all. I really enjoyed that one completion to Cole Beasley. It was a good reminder of what he could mean to the offense, where the Bills were in a 2nd and long, I think after a penalty, and they were able to find Beasley underneath and make it 3rd and manageable. And then, Diggs only had 2 targets. We'll talk about that in a moment, but caught them both. Nyheim Hines had a really nice 9-yard completion or reception on a 3rd and 8 to get a first down. Devin Singletary, a couple of good catches. Reggie Gilliam had a 12-yard reception in this ball game. The touchdown pass to Gabe Davis was a dime from Josh Allen. And I thought from a protection standpoint, I thought the Bills' offensive line played well. If there was any pressure, I thought a lot of that was because of Josh Allen. But I would say the offensive line in general had a good game, whether that was blasting open some lanes to run the football and giving Josh time. I thought both of those things happened. And you have to keep in mind the Bills were without Mitch Morse in this ball game. Ryan Bates is coming back in. You got Greg Van Roten out there at right guard. You lose Bates for a little bit. Van Roten kicks over to center. Ike Bucker comes in at right guard. The guy hasn't played football in a year. I think all things considered, I'm pretty satisfied with how this offensive line played. But the offense in general, 35 points, 426 yards, 6 of 11 on 3rd downs, completed or converted their 1 4th down attempt. They averaged 7.3 yards per play. I don't think the Bills had a negative play in this game. I know they had some penalties, but the Bears weren't credited with a tackle for loss. Josh Allen got sacked 1 time, and that's because he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that counts as a sack in the NFL. They're 3 of 4 scoring touchdowns in the red zone. It was a good day for the offense. I know that the passing output wasn't there, but 35 points, 426 yards, efficient in the red zone, efficient on 3rd downs, no negative plays. I mean, come on. That's good offense. Thought Sam Martin was awesome in this game. 3 punts, had that 62-yard net punt. That was huge. All 3 of his punts were good. Sam Martin's awesome. Love him. Thought the challenge by Sean McDermott was outstanding. Big moment in the ball game. Fourth quarter, the Bills are only up by 8. The Bears are threatening. They converted a 4th and 3. Sean McDermott challenges it. The call's reversed. The Bills get the ball back. And I saw the tweets. Some of y'all were not happy that he challenged that play. Well, they got it right. And I think at the end of the day, this Bills team was down 10-6 at halftime. 10-6 down at halftime, not playing good ball. You come out in the second half, you outscore them 29-10, and you go home as AFC East champs for a 3rd consecutive season. I hope you've been getting in on the action over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is my favorite daily fantasy resource. How does it work? You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less on their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available, and entries can be made in just 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. So download the Prize Pick app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. So if you deposit 100, Prize Picks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, Prize Picks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right, let's talk about some things I didn't like from this ball game. We'll start with Josh Allen, the passer. Definitely not his sharpest game. There's no question about it. Not a ton of efficiency, and I'm not sure how much of that I would blame on the wind. Thought it was more decisions by Josh Allen where the efficiency was lost. But, I mean, 2 interceptions, right? The first one, Josh misses a coverage rotation. Thought it was great disguise by the Bears to take that slot corner, kind of have him down in the box, looking like he might come on a blitz, looking like he might just kind of be a shallow hook curl defender. You know, he buzzes back and takes away the over route from Isaiah McKenzie. And if that didn't happen, I thought it was a good throw and a good decision. But because that coverage rotation did happen, it's a bad throw and a bad decision. Kyler Gordon got him. Good play by the Bears. The second interception looks like Josh Allen had plenty of time, right? The protection was great on the play. Steps up in the pocket, and he's looking for a check down throw, and the ball sailed on him. He said in his post-game press conference that the wind pushed it a little bit and caused it to sail. Maybe that's the case. Usually Josh is pretty candid and honest about his interceptions, and I'm inclined to believe him, but no, the ball can't be high there. He's bad throw. Bad throw resulted in a turnover. I just don't think for the most part in the game, I didn't love the decision-making from Josh Allen. Didn't like the way he was seeing things. Didn't like where he was going with the football. I thought he was chasing some throws. Almost felt like, all right, Josh, you're back in the MVP conversation. Better get a bunch of yards against a bad defense. You know, he's targeting Isaiah McKenzie on vertical throws. I mean, when is that ever a good idea? McKenzie's more of a guy that you want horizontal. The guys out there targeting him on wheel routes. I mean, I just didn't love the distribution of the football. Didn't like the decisions. This wasn't Josh's best game as a passer. Fortunately, they played the Bears and were able to get a convincing win, but Josh Allen will have to play better than this as a passer to, beat the Bengals next week. Gabriel Davis, did not like Gabriel Davis in this ball game. Thought he had 3 blunders. One, he couldn't make that sideline catch. I recognize somewhat of a difficult catch, but he just hasn't made those catches this year. I thought the fumble was an egregious play by Gabe Davis. Poor awareness. You have to be aware of your skill set and situation. And Gabe, you're not a good yards after catch receiver. You haven't ever been that. And so to stay up and look like you're going to try to get some yards with a bunch of defenders around you was ill-advised. And, credit the Bears for coming in and punching out that ball. But if you're Gabe Davis, and I think Cole Beasley does this as good as any player I've ever watched, as a receiver, sometimes you just need to know when to get down. And that was a situation where I don't think Gabriel Davis demonstrated the awareness I need from him to get down and not put the ball in a position where it could be compromised like he did. And so while you might say, it's a great punch out, I think that was more Gabe Davis, a lack of awareness. And then I think probably the play that bothered me the most, and it didn't even result in a turnover, was the 3rd and 10 throw that Josh Allen threw to Gabe Davis in the end zone. The play after was the missed field goal before half. And Gabe makes literally no effort to work back to the football and catch it in the end zone. The defender has his back to the football. If nothing else, that's a very easy pass interference call to force, but you just have to be physical and work back to the ball. That defender has his back to Josh Allen. He's not able to get his head around and make a play on the ball. It's an easy PI call to force. And Gabe just doesn't make any effort. I mean, shoot, maybe try hard. You might even catch the ball. I mean, it was kind of a lob throw, not a lot of heat on it. Go be 220 pounds and 6'2" or however big you are and go make a play on a ball. Worst case scenario, it's PI. You get the ball at the 1 yard line. So I don't know. Gabe, 3 plays in this game that really I thought were low lights for him. I mean, the Bills turned it over 3 times on offense. That's not good. You don't want that. Now, the Bills turned it over 3 times in the previous 5 games combined. So I don't think that they're all of a sudden a turnover-prone offense, but it's a little troublesome to correct that problem. And then the problem comes up a little bit and it simultaneously coincides with Josh Allen not playing his best game. So I don't like how all that intertwines at all. I don't like 9 penalties. I'm not sure that there were 9 warranted penalties. This Carl Cheffers as a referee really grinds my gears. Not a fan at all. Not a fan of this guy. I tweeted out during the game that Carl Cheffers is the Dick Bavetta of the NFL. You remember Dick Bavetta, the NBA ref? I mean, you just knew if that guy was calling the game, it was going to be just really annoying. Carl Cheffers is developing that reputation for me. You guys know I don't talk about officiating really ever on this podcast because I think that good calls, missed calls, bad calls, that's all part of the game, right? It just happens. But Carl Cheffers just, man, to quote Marv Levy, he feels like an over-officious jerk. Not a fan. Thought special teams in a lot of ways was shaky in this ball game. Kick coverage was shaky. The first 2 kicks, the Bears get to the 36 and the 42-yard line. Not the Bills' best covering kicks right there. Nyheim Hines was shaky in the return game. He didn't field that 1 punt. Ball winds up rolling down to the 2, put the offense in a bad spot. He mishandled the kickoff in the 4th quarter. So, Nyheim Hines has been really good as a returner, but this wasn't his day. And then Tyler Bass, I mean, he misses a short field goal. He missed an extra point. And it didn't feel like Cairo Santos, the Bears kicker, was having too many issues. So I just don't think Tyler hit it true at all in this game. I thought a lot of them they were all pushed, and it just wasn't a great ball flight. So obviously not the best outing from Tyler Bass, of course, right after I pound the table for this guy. Yes, as the guy that should have been the Pro Bowl kicker. He made me eat my words, but obviously it's been way, 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 way more good than bad from Tyler Bass. But I didn't like the results in this game from him. And if it was affecting both kickers, you're like, okay, it's just impossible to kick. Well, the Bears kicker didn't have any problems. So I was disappointed to see that Tyler Bass did have some problems in this ball game. You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up. You lose your license. You lose your job. You total your car. You kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead and get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. All right, let's close this out with a little recap of my predictions and some thoughts that I have about the rest of this season. Real quick, though, I do want to acknowledge Josh Allen. He scored 3 touchdowns in this game. I know it doesn't feel like he did, but he scored 3 touchdowns, and that means a new NFL record for most total touchdowns in a player's first 5 seasons has been set by Josh Allen. Move over, Dan Marino. Josh Allen is the player who scored the most touchdowns in the first 5 seasons of their career. And every touchdown after this is just continuing to set the new record, right? So Dan Marino had 171, and Josh Allen had 3, so he's up to 174 and 2 more games to play. And I love that. I think that's such a cool stat. I mean, scoring touchdowns, I don't want to give you any big analysis here that's really into the weeds with football, but scoring touchdowns is a really good thing in football. And Josh Allen has scored the most of any player that's ever strapped it up and played in the NFL throughout their first 5 seasons. I geeked up about that on the Friday podcast, so was excited to see it happen and excited to see that record continue to grow here and find out if anyone can break it. But it's really cool that Josh Allen can say that nobody in the NFL history has scored more touchdowns than him through 5 seasons. Let's look at my predictions. We did not do so hot here. I got my first prediction correct, which was that the over would hit for points in this game. The over the over-under was set at 39.5. And the Bills nearly covered that themselves. They scored 35 points. So we got to 48, and that means I correctly predicted that the over would hit. The next one, I aligned with Brian. Brian, we're going down together, my guy. We agreed that the quarterbacks in this game would rush for 150 or more yards. We didn't come close. 52 yards. Credit to the Bills defense, like we talked about. They really bottled up Justin Fields, but we didn't come close, Brian. And that's all right. That's all right. Josh Allen outrushed him, and the Bills won the game, so we'll take it. Number 3. Oh, this one's a whiff, huh? I said Josh Allen would double the completions of Justin Fields. Nope. They both had 15. So not even close. Then Mandy, you and I are going down on this one. I agreed with you that Cole Beasley would have 3 receptions. Nope, just 1. So we're going down together there. But I did predict the Bills would win the game, and we got that one correct. So I go 2 for 5 this week on predictions. Folks, the Bills are the 1 seed. They're 12-3. They control their own destiny in the AFC. They win these last 2 games, they're going to have a bye and hold home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The Bengals and Chiefs both won. The Chiefs beat the Seahawks. The Bengals beat the Patriots. The Patriots had a couple chances there at the end to win it, and they pooped their pants. And, for the 1 minute of my life, I had to be a Patriots fan. I didn't enjoy it. But the fumble. And look, that was a bad call. You can't convince me that running back's forward progress was stopped. I mean, he was going backwards, and they was a very slow whistle, and they winds up fumbling. Are you kidding me? When they're about to score the game-winning touchdown, and then I'm all excited. Marcus Jones is going to get a chance to do a punt return, and it just didn't work out. Didn't work out for us. But Chiefs also beat the Seahawks. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The Bills win their games or the 1 seed, but you'd like to have the wiggle room. The Chiefs are the 2 seed right now. They're 12-3. The Bengals are the 3 seed. They're 11-4. The Bills' next game, Monday Night Football in Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Huge game. If the Bills win that one, they've got a really, really good shot at being the 1 seed. All they'll have to do is beat the Patriots in Buffalo in Week 18. I think it's important to acknowledge the consequences of not being the 1 seed. You get the 1 seed, obviously you get the bye, which I think is welcome for this team that had a week. What was their bye week? Week 7? Week 7 was their bye. And you think about all the crap that they've had to deal with the travel, right? I mean, they have to stay in Chicago until Sunday, Christmas morning, right? They couldn't even fly home. They're trying to fly into a nearby airport and bus in, and Who knows when they're going to get home to their families on Christmas? The snow game a few weeks ago, the Detroit situation. So I say all that to say that a bye would really help this team. But then you think about your playoff path. So you have a bye, and then you have a divisional round home game against the lowest advancing seed, which would be probably either the 4 seed, which is likely to be the Jaguars, or a wild card team like the Dolphins, Ravens, or Chargers. And more importantly, not the Bengals or the Chiefs. And then if you win that game, you get to host the AFC Championship game. So a bye, a 4 seed or a wild card team, and then you host the AFC Championship game, or you get to be the 2 seed and they got to play a wild card game. Then you have to go to Cincinnati or Kansas City. And then you probably have to go to Kansas City or Cincinnati again in the next round. Like, your path is instrumentally less hard if you get the 1 seed. Huge. Bills got to go get this dub next Monday night in Cincinnati. We'll spend next week getting ready for that ball game, obviously. The next time you're going to hear from me is going to be on Tuesday for Herd Mentality. So this is our post-game podcast. I guess it'll serve as the Monday podcast technically, and then I'll record again on Monday for Tuesday, which will be Herd Mentality. Then we'll be right back into our normal rhythm of things, and the Bills play on Monday night, so we might even have a little opportunity there to get creative with some show concepts and get into some different topics. So lots coming your way here on the podcast over the next week. Don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. We'd love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Go Bills. Enjoy this victory Sunday. Merry Christmas to you. And I look forward to catching up with you again on Tuesday.